Chapincito Media.
I'm honored to be here with all of you today. When I got sworn in, most of my family could not fly to DC, but here comes David to congratulate me. I don't know if you remember that. He said, "I'm going to take a picture with you, but you have to promise me that you're going to come to Rhode Island because my community wants to see you and I want to introduce you to them." I said, "Oh, yeah, I'll come." No, you have to promise me. So here I am. And I'm honored to be here with all of you tonight and all of the honorees. Thank you for inviting me and allowing me to participate in this wonderful event. To the elected officials that are here, thank you so much. A special thanks to my colleague, David. You may not be Guatemalan, but I think that you are a Chapin at heart. Yes. And Jorge, being the first is hard, let me tell you. Being the first council member, being the first mayor, being the first assembly member, the first senator, and now the first member of Congress, there is a lot on our shoulders. We're not only representing our small communities, we're representing and we're the face of the Guatemalan community here in the U.S. And I'm sure by now you've received calls from all over the U.S., people that need our help and people that are depending on us to ensure that, they are able to get some help and services that they need. So thank you for stepping up and thank you for doing the work that you do. You're going to be very successful. David and I are here to help in any way that we can, but I'm sure that if we just get out of the way, you can do it. And I have to say that David is also, there's one more Guatemalan, I think he was born also in Guatemala. He's in San Francisco, and he is on the County Board of Supervisors in San Francisco. So we have to figure out how we can get together, the three of us, and form, a national caucus to work on issues at large. We will become the voice of the thousands of Guatemalans, that are living here in the U.S. and that have family still living in Guatemala. Many of us, all of you included, have achieved what we call the American dream, meaning that we come to this wonderful country, some of us not by choice. As for me, I was sent here because of a tragic moment in my life. And I came here not because I'm a criminal, not because I'm a drug dealer. I was a little girl who thought was coming on vacation. And I stayed here, and I went to school here. I worked here. I became a U.S. citizen. I became a U.S. Congress member. Who would have thought that little girl would ever achieve, what we've achieved? But I didn't achieve that on my own. I did it because people like you have helped. People like my family. I have a very, very strong husband that I have been married to for almost 30 years, and he supports me 100%. Mary Kay, I failed to say thank you to you. This is my first too, so maybe next year we'll be here again, and it'll be our second. Okay. The Guatemalan Center and the 10 individuals that have chosen to step up and to do what is necessary to keep our culture alive and to show the kids where we come from and to teach them, about, what our elders have done in the past. That is so important. That is so important that you continue to do that. So thank you for taking time away from your families to do that work that is so necessary in our communities. It's when we forget about our past that we fail in our future. So we must never forget where we came from, and we must never accept what other people have in mind for us. We have to develop our own destiny. Our lives are, I tell young kids that, our lives are like a map. Think of it. There are roads, there are highways, some of them are alleys, some of them have speed humps, right? And some of them are dead ends. We choose which of those roads or highways or alleys we're going to drive on. And that is our life. Every single day we wake up and it's an opportunity to show the face of the immigrant. It's an opportunity to say, Donald Trump, you do not represent me. The cheap shots, that he has taken against our community should not go unseen, should not go unheard, and should not stand for what they are. Worthless words. Because that's not what the immigrant community, whether you're Mexican, Puerto Rican, Dominican, wherever you come from, Latin America, or wherever you come from, that is not the immigrant that makes the U.S. their home. It certainly wasn't that for me, wasn't that for my father, and it wasn't that for any of my family, and it hasn't been that for you. And you are proof of that. So tonight, what I want to talk to you is about something that I think you are already doing very well, but I think you need to do more of it. And that's political involvement. I'm so inspired by the young faces that I have seen here today. The young women who have stepped up and said, I am going to run for city council. I am going to run for Senate. Whatever it is, thank you for doing that. Remember, we want you to be involved. It's not easy to put your name on the ballot. Running for office is not just waking up in the morning and say, I'm going to put my name on the ballot. Running for office is doing the work that it takes to earn the trust of our communities. It's doing the work to represent the people before you actually become their leader, their name leader, and you get a title. My son came up to me not too long ago and said, Mom, children are supposed to do better than their parents. Well, how the heck are we going to do better than you? And I said to him, you're a veteran of the United States Air Force. How can I do better than that? You served your country. You're brave. You're an American soldier. And the title that I have does not define me or my courage. What defines me and my courage is what I am willing to do to stand up for the people that do not have a voice. And that's what you do every single day. That's what defines you as a leader, and that's what defines you as the great American immigrants that we are. That's what has defined this great nation, for hundreds of years. So when we don't vote in this last election, many of our Latino communities across the United States felt they didn't have leaders on the ballot that spoke in a voice for them. not in their own language, that's not what I mean, that spoke up for them, for affordable housing, for health care, for affordable college, for all of the things that our students and our communities need in order to succeed. They felt that there weren't enough of those people on the ballot, and they decided to stay home. It was by the grace of God that David and I and every other elected official that is here got elected. But we should not and we cannot continue to go down that route. Because the day after Election Day, some of us woke up and said, we stood home and we showed them. We didn't show anybody anything. Because David and I, every single day that we're in Washington, our job gets harder and harder and harder. Because of the people that got elected, because we stayed home, are not representing our values. They are not representing our communities, and they are not fighting for the things that our communities need and demand. And that is a hefty price that we are paying. I knew last year after the election that it was not going to be easy for me. Are you kidding? Being an immigrant in Congress, in this Congress? You know how hard, it's hard enough being an immigrant in a community with this Congress. But being an immigrant in Congress, with this Congress, is really, really hard. The only thing that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle seem to want to talk about are those people. And those people are not something, that we don't understand. When they talk about those people, they're talking about you. They're talking about you. They're talking about me. And they're talking about my community. And it's not acceptable. And this election that is coming up, I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. I'm here to tell you to take your time. Don't just listen to the TV or the radio or what some talking head is telling you on television. Take the time to read about what the candidates that are running, whether it's for president or for your local office, what have they done? What do they stand for? Are they worthy of your vote? Because if they're not worthy of your vote, then we need to come up with another name as a community. Until we do that, we're going to continue to be treated as those people, those criminals, those drug dealers that we are not. So we have to show our muscle. I tell students that when they go to school, they have to, eat well and do their homework because they have to build up the muscle up here, right? Their brain. You and I have to do more than that. It's our responsibility for those that can become a citizen. Just because you have a green card, let me tell you, Proposition 187 in California try to take all of the rights of the people that were here legally. Anything can happen in this Congress. Go take a class, apply to become a citizen. If you need help, there are organizations like the one we are here that will help you. Become a citizen. And when you become a citizen, register to vote. And when you register to vote, register your neighbor. And when you register your neighbor, go to the polls and vote. And once you have done all of that, it's still not enough. Because like I told you earlier, campaigns are not cheap. There's a lot of money in politics right now. Any organization or anyone with millions of dollars available to them can buy an election. They can print ads, they can do mailers, they can do all of these things to try to sway you and try to trick you that this candidate is better than that candidate. So when we don't do our homework and when we don't study about what people actually do, we make mistakes and we vote for the wrong person. So it's not enough. When we have people like David that are running, it takes courage for him. It takes a lot of time away from his family. So we have to invest in those candidates. And what I mean by investing is that not everyone can write a check. Some of us can write a $5 check. And if those of us that can, we should do that. $5 can buy you a yard sign. 1 yard sign. You know, with the hanger on your yard. Some of us have a couple of hours a week that we can go and talk to our neighbors, that we can make calls and talk about the person that is inspiring us to come out to their door or to go and talk to them about this candidate. Because who are you going to trust? You going to trust your neighbor with what they're saying about this candidate, or are you going to trust a TV ad that has been paid for by a multi-millionaire? If I don't want to read up or do my homework about a candidate, I'm going to probably trust my neighbor. So do that. Invest in your elections, invest in your community. It's not enough to go and vote. It's not enough to become a citizen. Right now, it's easy to point to Latinos and make us the scapegoat for everything that is going wrong, you know, whether it's the economy or how Congress is behaving. And you and I know that's not true. I've learned here today that the Latino community here in Rhode Island is the little engine that has gotten Rhode Island out of this recession, and that is that little engine that is moving your economy in the right direction. So do me a favor and continue to do all the great work that you have been doing in your communities. But do more, because it's not enough. And to the students that are being recognized here today, congratulations, you have done the work, and tonight you will be recognized for all that great work that you have been doing. You're gonna go on and you're gonna be very successful, and you're gonna do a lot of better things. You're gonna come, and I hope that you will come back here to your community. But do one thing, because too often, you know, we climb the ladder and then burn it behind us. We can't do that. We have to help the next person come up. We have to help, you know, the next group, like David did, you know, by appointing members of the community to serve on boards, to be the judges, to do this or that. That's how you grow leadership in the community. So don't forget about where you come from and come back and help your community. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of your celebration here today. I'm so grateful to be here with you.